For centuries, men cut into the sandstone here, carving out the lifeblood of Egypt's temples, leaving behind scars that reveal a lot about what went on here. Kings and officials came here to pray, they built shrines. A day's sail north at Edfu, the blocks that the quarrymen created rose into one of the most fabulous of all temples in Egypt, where festivals drew crowds from across the land. What myths unfolded inside its towering pylons? Well, you're going to find out, because in this episode, we'll follow the journey of stone from quarry to temple and uncover the story it tells about Egypt's gods, its kings, and its people. Leaving Aswan behind, we followed the Nile northward on our two dahabeyas, the Hadil and the Veda, traveling on the main thoroughfare used in ancient times. In case you're new here, my name is David Miano. I'm an ancient historian, and I'm sharing with you highlights of an amazing tour I personally led in the south of Egypt. So what you're about to see is more than a history lesson in slides. It's an account of an adventure, one of which you could join me on in person, if you so desire. Today our journey takes us along a stretch of the Nile that connects two extraordinary sites. Basically, we're going to look at both the beginning and end of the life of an ancient Egyptian temple. At Gebel el-Silsila, we'll step into the quarries that supplied sandstone for temples all across Egypt. And then, just upriver at Edfu, we'll see what became of that stone, the towering Temple of Horus, preserved almost in its entirety. And as you may know, Edfu is one of the most enigmatic and most talked about temples in all of Egypt. I'm going to reveal many of its secrets to you. We followed the river until its banks began to close in. Here at Gebel el-Silsila, the river is pinched to its narrowest point in all of Egypt, less than 1,300 feet, 400 meters across.
This is Gebel el-Silsila, and it is located both on the west bank here and on the east bank of the Nile. It stretches both sides. And basically, this is a mountainous region that has over 100 stone quarries. And we're talking about sandstone now. We've been to granite quarries. These are the sandstone quarries. Many of the temples we've seen and will see are made with sandstone blocks. This is where they got the sandstone. But what makes this site so interesting is not just the tool marks that you will see where they quarried the sandstone, but there are structures here, including the one that's behind me, which is called the Speos of Hormheb. Speos is just a Greek term for a rock-cut temple. There were two, actually, of these that were here, but one has not survived, both of them from Horemheb's time. He was a general that served under Akhenaten in the 18th dynasty. He also served under Akhenaten's son, King Tut, Tutankhamun. And then he ended up becoming a pharaoh himself after his buddy Ai served for a short time, but he was very old. Horemheb is the last king of the 18th dynasty before things switched over to the Ramesside family in the 19th. But this temple probably was a quarrying gallery to begin with, and then they turned it into a temple. You can see writing around the central doorway that identifies Horemheb as the owner. And this is dedicated to 7 deities, including Sobek, the crocodile god, who we're very familiar with. And there's also a hippo goddess named Taweret, who was worshipped here, and the inundation god of the Nile, Hapi. We're going to walk down there in a few minutes, and there are 32 rock-cut chapels that were made during the time of Hatshepsut and Thutmose III of the 18th dynasty. And then beyond that, you're going to see some cut porches from the 19th dynasty. They make dedications. Many of them are towards Hapi, the god of the Nile inundation, because this area right here, you could see in ancient times the inundation more clearly, so it became thought of as a sacred site. So here on these inscriptions, they say prayers. They ask for Hapi to bless the Nile with good flooding to bring the fish and the birds and things like that. We used to think that this area was just where workers lived, who quarried, but recently, in the last 10 years, they've also found a New Kingdom village that is here. So there actually was a village here besides just the quarries.
Okay.
You can see Ptah. This is the god Ptah up here. And then Horemheb. It must be a statue of Ptah, right? There's a little shrine with a statue of Ptah that he is revering. Yeah. Ma'at. Yeah. Oh, yes, that's the goddess Ma'at in his hand. Justice. And this is a priest behind him, yeah? We're not sure who this other god is that's been carved out, but it may be Khnum. There's even Arabic graffiti you can see here, too.
What does the Arabic graffiti say?
I don't know.
People's names.
Oh, people's names. Oh, okay.
Several months ago, after years of discomfort, I finally obtained a new mattress from a company called NOLA. Why I didn't do this sooner and unnecessarily suffered, I don't know. But NOLA is an award-winning mattress brand known for its cooling technology, exceptional pressure relief, and long-lasting durability. I got the NOLA Evolution Luxury Firm mattress. The mattress, fiberglass free by the way, comes rolled up in a box and is easy to set up. Let me tell you, it changed my life, not only because I sleep better, but a well-rested me has a generally better quality day. So a big thanks to NOLA for sponsoring this video.
I don't want to get up. Pressure point relief that it has is saving me from the aches and pains I was having.
If you're looking to upgrade your sleep, head to nolamattress.com and use the code WORLDOFANTIQUITY to get an extra $50 off your NOLA mattress. This is a higher discount than what is being offered on their website. NOLA mattresses come with a 120-night sleep trial to test the mattress out and ensure you love it. And they offer financing options and flexible payment plans.
Oh, there's some color over here. This is kind of an interesting scene. Over here we've got Amun and we've got Khnum here, but this is the more interesting part. So we are looking here at Horemheb himself. You can see his name. He's wearing the blue crown of Egypt, but he's represented as a boy suckling on his mother, who is the goddess Taweret, the hippo goddess of the Nile. But here she is as a protectress of Horemheb. A quarrying gallery is basically where you're quarrying out the stone. So it would have been really rough, and then they thought, hey, why don't we just smooth this out and make it nice? And interestingly, Khnum outside also was chiseled out, and here also Khnum is chiseled. They must have had something against Khnum here. I'm not sure. Later. Look, here's Horemheb with his bow. He must be on a chariot, yeah? Look, is this the wheel here?
Probably.
Yeah. So underneath these reliefs, you can see an original relief design that has a boat here. Can you see this? And the archaeologists working on this have identified that this structure was originally designed for King Tutankhamun, and Horemheb took it over after his death. See these decorations up here, but then these hieroglyphs go over the top. Let's take a look at these guys. It's hard to tell, though, because their faces are all gone. This is probably Ptah, though, because he always holds the... I think this is probably Ptah. I don't know for sure. But the others are very generic, so... And I am told this, too, was used later by Christians. They might be, I don't know why they had something against Khnum specifically, but it's all the Khnum images seem to be chiseled out. Don't know why. I don't know if you can tell, in later times this was converted into a church, and you can see a cross here on the wall. They're all over the place. There's another one over there, a cross. You can see them all over the place. The cross, of course, to counteract the pagan effects of the imagery, but it was used as a church.
Within the sanctuary are better preserved reliefs and hieroglyphs. We then headed in the direction of the quarry.
You see those marks up there at the top? Every workers team at the quarry had their own little logo, you might say. And in this area, there were 3 work teams that were working here, and those are each of their marks, okay, that identified them. So basically they're saying, we were the guys that worked here. I'm guessing too, these work teams lasted for generations, right? They weren't just around for a few projects. Yeah, you become part of our guild, you know, kind of. They're proud of their work too, right? They want you to know. Also, the supervisor might say, you have to put your mark on there. I want to know who did this, you know. So if there's a mistake, we know who to blame. These are 3 rock-cut royal stelae from different times. Remember, I told you before that these were basically calling on Hapi to make the Nile flood, for the land to be prosperous. We have one here from the time of Ramses V. On the far other side, this is Ramses III. So here we have Ramses III, and then the 3 Theban gods, Amun, his consort Mut, and then Khonsu. Yes, during the Bronze Age collapse. Sea people invasions and all that. And then this is the latest one. This is from the time of Sheshonq I, the Libyan dynasty. He is the famous Shishak from the Bible. I don't know if you know that story about how he invaded Israel, but this is the Sheshonq that is talking about here. And it's the newest of the 3. And then you can also see the workers' marks that we saw over there. They're basically taking credit for, I'm assuming this one, because these are all different from different times.
When did the quarry move?
It would have been after Ramses III. Oh, okay. So this was a quarrying operation later, but they wanted to keep this intact. They didn't want to destroy Ramses' stela, so they deliberately avoided carving this part out.
And also they carved
Oh,
out
look at some color in here.
and the colors, yeah.
Hey, look at that guy. He's come back to life. Oh, this is not a tomb, though. It looks like there was a stela that had been placed in there. Oh, these are tools.
Yeah, no, that means carve. Like
Oh, it means to carve.
It's
Okay.
carve, like that's the one who used to write.
This fellow who built this shrine is the scribe of Horemheb.
So you can see all the graffiti is unfinished, the lines.
Look at it. We were just talking about making a draft. Who was we talking about that with? So you can still see some of the original lines that they drew to measure everything out. And it's almost like graph paper.
It's so detailed and hard work to get that on the wall, but not worry about cleaning up the rest. It's weird to me.
Maybe there was a floor that they took out because it was too decorative.
Yeah, it takes a super long time, so maybe the guy died. You never know, or you know.
Yeah, it's just that it's so they put so much effort.
I know. Then they get. So, you know, I think I want to do this other project. This is kind of interesting, you know, there are 3 of them, and there were 3 of them here, but half the middle one is gone. And then over there, you can see there were 3 of them over there, and half the middle one is gone. Now, maybe you think, oh, they went together, but it looks like we have some quarrying marks here. I think this was carved out. This shrine was, you know, isolated, but now there is a way through. So someone created this channel to get back here, and it ruined the statues.
All this reminds us that Gebel el-Silsila, as an archaeological site, is more than just a place where the Egyptians obtained stone for building. It was also a place where kings carved their prayers, where officials built chapels, where deities were worshipped, and where quarrymen lived. But the best part of this site, and I think most people with me agreed, is the quarry itself. We are standing in the largest sandstone quarry in Egypt, but the video doesn't do justice to what it actually feels like being in it. The size of it really inspires awe. The sheer amount of stone quarried here becomes apparent, and we're not even seeing all of it yet. You may be surprised, but quarry crews did not number in the thousands. Generally, they were highly skilled craftsmen, relatively small in number. Criminals and enslaved captives were brought here to work from time to time, but the total number of workers rarely even reached 100, much less thousands. Now, of course, there were auxiliary personnel that came in to handle supply and transport logistics, but unlike the massive granite obelisk projects or giant statues, which were rare, they didn't need thousands to move them. If you haven't seen episode 3 of this season yet, and you want to know about granite quarrying, make sure to check it out. Quarrymen cut vertical trenches on 3 sides of a block, then undercut it with chisels and mallets to free it.
I'm told that right here, you can kind of see that they were taking out slabs that are around this size, smaller size, and that this would have been used for flooring, stone flooring. And then over here, you can see longer slabs being taken out, and this would have been used for ceilings. Everywhere in the world, you see marks like this at quarries, but this is basically the picks that were carving away at the stone. Not common to see that for granite, but for sandstone, other types of stone, yes. Yes, they're right-handed, right? They're swinging like this, so it's going off to this angle. Yeah, they are right-handed.
Recent research at sites like this and in the sources seems to indicate that tight control by the central government over these operations was not really there most of the time, but rather local, family-based or clan-based entrepreneurship was the standard, even when they were doing the work for the government.
Yeah, and pretty good condition. So this would have been, I guess it would have been just like the other chapels, but they took away the top. Yeah, this would have been the outside where you come in, right? Come inside through here, and that maybe even in ancient times they decided that we need the stone. You don't want to put your shrine too far this way because they're obviously working their way in, so you want to put it further in. Up here, you can kind of see from the marks on the stones a bit about how the quarrying process worked for the extraction of blocks. So you see these crevices in here. This is where they're carving in to make their blocks, right? And then they pull them out. And this is an example of how they would do that. See these holes in here, these wedge marks? Basically, by getting underneath, you're pulling it out. See this one? There's a crevice going along here. So this would have been like a slab that they could have taken out. And then to remove it, to pull it up through here from these wedges. And they would just extract layer by layer this way. The pick marks, of course, are going down into these crevices. And so that's why you can even see pick marks in here. As they go down, they're making the pick marks through there. And then, with the wedges, they're able to pull out the block from underneath. You can see the bottom of a column here, but it just goes to show that they didn't, take them out square and then bring them to the site and then make the columns then. They roughly shaped them right here in the quarry, which makes a lot of sense because you don't want to carry any more weight than you have to. You can just see from this, the sheer magnitude, the amount of stone that was taken out of here, enough to build entire temples.
You can see it even more clearly that way.
Start the shot here.
Look at, they started way up there. Look how much sandstone was extracted from this quarry just in this one spot.
Extraction was not random. From the New Kingdom onward, workers cut descending platforms so that block after block could be removed in sequence, leaving behind the quarry faces we see today.
See over there, you have the hole in the corner of the stone, and then over here, there's another one here, and then there's a couple right there, there's another one over there. Well, some of the guards were saying like, oh, that's where you tie your boats or something like that. I don't think so. One of our tour group says, well, maybe they used it for like as a pulley for using ropes to haul stone. And that seems like a more practical reason to me.
Walking among the quarry faces today, you can still read the story of how the stone was cut. Tool marks are everywhere. Flat chisels, a few centimeters wide, left neat parallel grooves. Pointed chisels opened channels and wedge slots. And these show parallel diagonal marks and herringbone patterns. Here on the West Bank, archaeologists have identified curved scars carved deep into the rock, traces that chisels cannot produce. They match the blows of pickaxes, swung with force into the sandstone. Copper and bronze chisels were used until the late period, when iron tools took over, and the marks became deeper. Picks appear to have been made of chert.
People already had iron elsewhere, but the Egyptians took a little bit longer to start using iron, so I think they still would have been using bronze tools. Many centuries after all their neighbors had iron, they finally started using iron.
Traditionalists.
Yeah.
Post holes and rope holes carved into the rock show where scaffolding and levers were anchored to move the massive blocks once they were detached. Some unfinished or abandoned blocks still cling to the bedrock, preserving the process mid-stride. The importance of this quarry cannot be understated. Sandstone from Silsila built temples all over the south. Even the sphinxes on the Avenue of the Sphinxes between Luxor and Karnak were carved from Silsila sandstone. From the quarries of Gebel el-Silsila, our dahabeah made its way north. The narrow gorge gave way to wide fields of green, the land sloping gently away from the Nile. We finally reached the port of Edfu. Waiting on the quay were horse-drawn carriages lined up to take us into town. Travelers in Antiquity would have recognized this ritual of arrival, passing from the river into the bustle of a provincial capital. Built from the sandstone of Gebel el-Silsila, this is one of the best preserved temples in Egypt. At the time it was built, this place was called Apollonopolis Magna by its Macedonian rulers, who equated Horus with Apollo. But today it is commonly called by its Arabic name, Edfu.
Look at how huge.
Here, more than anywhere else, we can step into a Ptolemaic sanctuary and see what a working Egyptian temple looked like in its entirety.
All right, everybody, here we are at Edfu. This, of course, is the most famous part, the Temple of Horus, but I just want to talk about what's over here, this sandstone outcrop that you see just a few meters here to the west, and you saw more of it when we were coming in. That's all the remains of the town of Edfu, the ancient town. It wasn't called Edfu back then. It was called Behedet. Another name from a little bit later is Jeba. But that's why the god of this temple is called the Horus of Behedet, because this is Behedet. And all through there, you'll find residences that go way back to the Old Kingdom. They go all the way through the dynastic period, so this was inhabited for a very long time. And Edfu was the capital city of the second Upper Egyptian nome. When I say nome, I'm not talking about the little guy with the beard, I'm talking about Nome, the province. Okay, this was a capital of the province of this area. And so it's kind of cool to know that we're right here in the middle of an ancient city. The excavators of this area are still working on it. There's a Tel Edfu project that's been going on for the last, I think, decade or two. And Nadine Moeller, the archaeologist in charge, I know personally, so it's kind of cool, but they continue to find things here that go way back. This is an archaeological excavation still ongoing. But this is the tourist area here. This is the Temple of Horus here. Nice and simple temple, a nice simple temple. At Komombo we have all these gods but this is the Temple of Horus. And what's interesting about it is that it was built on older temples dedicated to Horus. So this is from the Ptolemaic period, but we do have remnants in the forecourt, just pieces of older temples. There's something from Dynasty 13 that's been found, Dynasties 19, 20, 25, 26, all down below. However, we also have documents that seem to indicate that there may even have been a temple to Horus here as far back as the Old Kingdom. We just haven't been able to prove it. This particular temple was started by Ptolemy III in 237 BCE. It was continued by Ptolemy VIII, the potbelly he was called. It was finally inaugurated 95 years later in 142, but there still was more to be done to it. The temple was officially finished in 57 BCE, so that means it took a total of 180 years to finish the temple.
And this was after the Romans got it.
Here we are at the monumental gateway, the pylon as they call it. We're looking at one of the sides here. Both sides are the same, mirror images of each other. This was one of the last things built from the temple by Ptolemy XII. And there he is over there, Ptolemy XII, in the typical pose of the pharaoh, grabbing his enemies by the hair. He's got a whole mass of them, grabbing them by the hair and ready to strike them with a mace. You can see his cartouches right there, Ptolemy XII. And of course, here is the main star himself, Horus, for whom this temple is dedicated. You have his mother Isis behind him. And notice these two niches here, long ones going way up. What were these for? There's two on this side and two on that side. These were for flagpoles. There are actually these tall cedar poles here that had colored flags, red, green, blue, on them. They would have been gorgeous. And people have wondered about those windows you see directly above. What were they for? It's theorized that this is how they pulled the cedar poles up when they installed them. They had men up there with ropes pulling up, and maybe those windows were also used later on for repairs or whatever that they had to do to it. And the poles were fastened with these Asiatic copper clips to hold them into the wall. Imagine, if you will, here, two giant cedar doors, long ones going all the way up to the top. Can you imagine opening them and closing them? That's how you entered the temple. Some people say only a giant would have a use for a door that tall. But of course we know it's to impress.
Passing through the pylon, we stepped into a large open courtyard, paved with stone and surrounded on 3 sides by 32 columns. The walls here tell of the Feast of the Joyous Union, the sacred marriage of Horus of Edfu and Hathor of Dendera. Once a year, Hathor's statue was brought up river in a great procession by boat. For 15 days, the townspeople feasted, drank, and celebrated, while the priests performed rites inside this temple. It was one of the rare occasions when ordinary people could see something of the divine mysteries. Through the next set of doors lies the great hypostyle hall, with a forest of columns beneath a ceiling painted with astronomical imagery. To the left is the robing room, called the House of Mourning, M-O-R-N-I-N-G, where priests purified themselves before service. Beyond this lies a smaller hall, marking the start of the naos, the most sacred part of the temple. The floor here rises gradually, while the ceiling lowers, drawing you upward and inward toward the Holy of Holies. Side rooms served ritual needs, a treasury to store precious objects, a laboratory for preparing incense and ointments, and a room of the Nile to store water for purification. Next comes a narrow chamber where food and oil offerings were burned, their smoke nourishing the god.
And here we have an ancient Egyptian with his Wi-Fi already about to eat some boba. And no, actually some pseudo-archaeology channels love to point to this and some kind of evidence of Wi-Fi, but we have to be careful not to interpret symbols according to what we are accustomed to. What those actually are bones, the ribs of this goat down here, and you can see the chest has been carved open and it's being offered here as an offering. Somehow the goat's still standing, but that's where that came from. A couple of martinis with olives, yeah, shaken, not stirred.
All around the sanctuary are 13 chapels, each devoted to a different deity associated with Horus. Their inscriptions identify the divine inhabitants of each space and prescribe the rituals carried out within.
We're looking here at the inner sanctum, and back there was where they held the statue of Horus. And then you see this carrier here. Well, it's a replica, but it's a smaller representation of that holder for the statue. They would bring every year the statue of Horus on a sacred procession. It was called the Festival of the Living Falcon. They would take the Horus statue, and the purpose of the festival, by the way, was to reestablish the king's power. There's a crowning of Horus. Remember, the king is associated with Horus. Horus is the god of kings. They would take the statue through the temple up to the top to be presented at the pylon before the people. And also, they would bring it down to a smaller temple just over here. It doesn't exist any longer, but it was over near the birth house. And that little temple, they raised falcons in, actual real falcons. And the priest would choose a successor, a new falcon, that would be part of the coronation ceremony. There will be a ritual regarding that particular falcon, the crowning of Horus, and then the statue would be brought back here to the sanctum. And once the real falcon was brought here and crowned as the new Horus, they would take it back to where the original temple where it had been and return the statue back here to its place. Look at, it's part of the restoration work they've been doing here. You can still see the blue. See the blue? Still on the figure. Look at this. In big, bold relief, you can see a representation of the procession itself, them carrying the ark with the Horus statue, right? The king himself wearing the blue crown. And where are they headed? Right towards the staircase. You see the gods here, all lined along the walls, going up the stairs. This is an indication that the procession which brought Horus out first went up these stairs up to the top, to the roof. This was part of the route that they would bring the statue.
Outside, a stairway leads down to a circular well that once supplied water for purification, but it also served as a Nileometer to measure the river's levels. The temple walls out here preserve extensive inscriptions, recounting the mythical battles of Horus and Set. Here, Horus is celebrated as Horus Bedeti, the great falcon who defeats the forces of chaos. These stories link the city of Edfu to the cosmic struggle between order and disorder, a drama reenacted in the festivals and processions.
This is the northwest part of the enclosure wall. All on these walls, there's all kinds of myths and lore of ancient Egypt, including how this temple was formed and all of that. It was believed, in fact, that the Edfu temple was built upon the Ben, which is like the original primordial mound that came out of the sea. But a lot of temples claim to be that, to have that privilege. But anyway, Graham Hancock made this famous by pulling out bits and pieces of the inscription and putting them together to try to make it match the Atlantis myth of Plato. And yeah, that took a little finagling. There is mention in here, this is about the creation of the world. There's mention of the island rising out of the sea. There's mention of floods, but you really have to kind of pull things out of context in order to make it sound anything like Atlantis. But yes, it does say in here that they're drawing from older books that they had here. Now, it doesn't mean they're like thousands of years older or anything like that, but these are traditional myths that they had. And I heard someone say, well, this is in Middle Egyptian, therefore it must be at least as old as the Middle Kingdom. But the fact of the matter is that Middle Egyptian was used as a literary language well into the Common Era, like well into like the 4th century CE. So that has you can't date the story according to the fact that it's written in Middle Egyptian.
Coming from the quarry to the temple gives a person a unique perspective. We saw the sandstone in its raw state, and here we see it transformed into one of the most amazing temples. It hammers home the point, no pun intended, that Egyptian monuments were not conjured out of thin air. They are the result of sweat and labor. To stand at both ends of that process in a single day is to get a view of the full arc of Egypt's sacred landscape. That's the best way to do it. But the journey continues. Next time we'll explore a different face of Egypt's past, the remains of ancient sister cities, Nekheb and Nekhen. Nekheb with its cliffside tombs, and Nekhen once called Hierakonpolis, the earliest known city in all of Egypt. Access to the site is tightly controlled, but we were granted special permission to enter, and what we found there connects us to the very origins of Egyptian civilization. So make sure to catch this one. And if you'd like to keep the ancient world alive on your screen, I've created a free screensaver pack featuring some of my favorite shots from my travels. You can grab it using the link I left below.